Hi, Jennifer Stewart here, and I'm so excited to have with me today Supna Shah, and as part of the iShine Bright series. And I wanted to introduce a little bit about Supna. So she's the founder of We Go Kids and a mom of 5-year-old triplets. Triplets! Oh my gosh. I have three, but they're all spaced apart. We Go Kids takes an emotional intelligence approach to everyday parenting and delivers innovative content and products to parents just before they need them. Oh, that's amazing. With over a decade studying and applying principles of emotional intelligence in multinational corporations, Septa used emotional intelligence to help guide her as a first time mom. It's so true. So many of our life lessons we can apply as parents. When Sabna realized that she wasn't having many of the challenges of other parents, she started sharing her techniques with others, and We Go Kids was born. We Go Kids has been featured in Entrepreneur, The Huffington Post, on ABC, The Wolf Shanty Show, Dreaming of Baby, and several podcasts. And Supna earned her MBA from the University of Florida and currently lives in Tampa with her husband, Parag, and 5-year-old triplets. So, oh my goodness, hats off to you for having triplets, first of all. I can't imagine having like all three of my kids at the same time. So
Definitely a very steep learning curve.
I'm sure it's like sink or swim. Here we go. I love that. Well, it sounds like you learned how to swim very fast, so that's wonderful. So I guess that your bio already introduces a little bit about what got you started on this journey, but do you have anything more to add to that? I always think it's nice to kind of know like why are we here? You know, what got you going on this topic?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really just been an organic journey for me. I feel like with the birth of the triplets, I started down my path, and it's just been really organic. You know, not many moms who have 2-year-old triplets say, "Oh, let me start a company. That's a good idea. That's a good thing to do right now." So that definitely was not me. I was not looking to start a business or start a company. It kind of found me. And through networking and talking with other parents and going to some classes and things, and just continuing to talk about it, I found that it was really information that parents found valuable and that they were really hungry for. And so that's kind of how the company started.
Yeah, no, I love that. So you saw the need and you felt drawn to it, as you said. So that's usually the best ways to begin something, right? By our inner guidance, which is what I am wanting to chat about with you today, but more about parenting and kids. But yes, no, that's amazing. And I love that you're focusing on emotional intelligence because I think as a parent and a teacher that is such an important aspect that I think often gets so lost as we're preparing our kids for this world, right? There's all this pressure, like they have to learn to read, they have to learn to write, they have to do all this stuff. But in the end, like if they can do all that, but they're not emotionally developed, then it's like, who cares? They're not going to be able to use those skills.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. And it's really, when I talk to parents who struggle with that, finding that balance between academics and milestones and what society says where our kids should be, I really just direct them back to science because there are so many studies out there that have been done about emotional intelligence and the power of it long term. There's a British longitudinal study that followed people for 50 years from the time they were born until they were 50 years old. And there was a direct correlation between their level of emotional intelligence and their level of happiness and success as adults.
I love that.
And Harvard has done tons of studies that link emotional intelligence to the strength of relationships throughout people's lives. And that's the essence of who we are. Being human is really about connecting with other people, and emotional intelligence really helps us to do that in a very productive way.
Yeah, no, I love that because I mean, you can go and be successful in school and get a great job, but if you can't get along with your coworkers, then you probably won't have that job very long. So, no, that's, yeah,
Exactly.
I love that. I wonder if you could give a little description of what is emotional intelligence, because that might sound like this big academic topic in and of itself to parents, right?
Yes, exactly. People hear the word or the term emotional intelligence and they're like, that's going to require like years of studying and reading up on books and everything. But it really is, fundamentally speaking, it's the essence of being human. Understanding, managing our own emotions, and then being able to do that with other people. Along with that goes the art of learning not to react based on our emotions, but to kind of take a step back, really figure out where are they coming from, why are they making us feel that way, and processing through those before deciding if we should act, and if we are, what action we should take.
Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah, because it sounds like a big word to me even, right? Emotional intelligence. So, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And for parents with younger kids, the easiest way I can explain it is, we think that tantrums come along with the twos, the terrible twos, that kids are supposed to have tantrums. I've heard terrible twos, the teenage years, that most recently I heard about tornadoes, and which is
I
great.
haven't heard that one yet. Okay.
I know, I just heard that. I was like, wow. Um, but it really is like a tantrum. All of those things are really just kids' emotions. And when we focus at a really early age in giving them a vocabulary for it, teaching them the tools that they can use to process, you actually take out a lot of that stress and anxiety that comes with and not knowing what to do with it, which is really what a tantrum is.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, trying to understand why are they behaving that way, and then try to help them get some of the tools for that. So, since you brought it up, how would you help a parent who has a younger child who wants to start on that path to help their child have tools, and for the parents to understand it? What are some of the beginning steps that you would offer?
So, breathing was actually a technique that I started with the kids when they were newborns. I happened to do it accidentally because we had triplets. The hospital that we were at really focused on bonding with newborns, and so they had us do a lot of skin to skin contact. And
Oh,
so,
lovely.
what we did, or what I added when I was doing the skin to skin contact, was really deep conscious breathing. And it's definitely a longer process, but I did that throughout their first 2 years, teaching them to breathe when they're really, really happy and excited, having fun, and reminding them, just like you take a water break, you're going to take a breathing break, and we're going to take 3 or 5 deep breaths in. And then when you see them teetering on, going down an emotional roller coaster or something, you can say, don't forget your breathing, and you'll find that it's like a magic wand that they can just breathe and kind of let it go.
Right. Yeah, no, I love that. And there's so many fun little like breathing games and little stories and things you can do with kids to make it fun. But we do that in my preschool. We have some little yoga times and some breathing times, and the kids love it. They not only is it
Yeah.
good for them, but they think it's fun. So, you can pretend
Yeah.
it's blowing out a candle, you're blowing up a balloon or cooling off your hot chocolate or whatever. Yeah. No, I
The best idea of how to do it, but yeah, and then just kind of reminding them when you see them starting to react, to say, don't forget to breathe, um, and it really makes a huge difference.
Yeah, no, I love that. Just taking a moment to calm down, and I'm sure it helps them come back in tune with themselves so they can realize like, oh yeah, I'm feeling those feelings that are, usually doesn't lead to a very good decision afterward or whatever. So I
And
love that.
we do think of it kind of like as a negative, but for me, I've used it as an equally powerful tool for the positive. So like when we're getting ready to go to another kid's birthday party, the 5 minutes in the car before we get there is quiet breathing time. Like we are going to breathe down all of this excitement, breathe it down and breathe it out, so that when we get there, we are a little more centered than when we started.
That's great. No, I love that. And I think you were very lucky to have given birth where you did with your babies, and that they helped you understand that right away about the breathing. Because I know that where I was, it was not like that. They wanted to have the baby not cuddling with you and, separated from you. I chose not to listen and held mine. But anyway, so that's amazing. So was that in the States? What state were you in?
In Tampa, in Florida.
Oh, I love that. Wow, you were very lucky to have that. So
it's really a really big part of newborn care in hospitals now.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's wonderful. So yes, and I'm also so in love. So I love that you want to help them with their breathing and coming back to themselves, but also moving for children, I know, is like so important. And once again, I know there's been a lot of studies on that, and getting young kids to move is often way more important than getting them to learn their letters, right? They have to get into their body, and moving makes so many brain connections, right? So I don't know if that's something, if you could speak into, why is that so important to you to, encourage kids to move?
Yeah, absolutely. We do it for the kids, but we actually need to do it for ourselves as parents. Because, we do lead a very sedentary lifestyle. We get occupied in our day-to-day of whether we're stay at home or working at home or whatever, we get into our routine and we forget that, we get frustrated easily. Depression and anxiety is on the rise. And for me, those are really when your car tells you the light flashes and something's wrong, that's really, to me, just telling me that, my body, which is my vehicle, needs a tune-up. And the fastest and easiest way to do that is to get moving. So, and I am a big advocate of the less activities, the better. I don't want to spend my day in a car driving kids around from one thing to the next. So I focus on building forts, doing obstacle courses, doing scavenger hunts, inside the house too. I do that too. We have a big area, I encourage parents to think outside the box. We have a big area in our front room. We decided not to put any furniture there. And when it's cold outside or it's raining, they play soccer inside. I mean, it gets them moving.
Yeah.
And that's what we, not only kids, that's what we as people are meant to do.
Yeah, no, I love that, being creative and finding little ways to sneak it in for them. So yeah, no, I definitely think that kids just our whole society is a lot more sedentary with all of the technology we have and everything. So it's just, we have to be conscious to make sure that we get that in during the day, to plan it in the day as opposed to like, well, if they get outside or if they get to, it's okay, but it's not that important. But yeah.
I've taught the triplets about keeping your body in balance. So when we talk about screen time, they were screen free until 3. But then when we started introducing screens, our rule was to keep our body in balance, for every 20 minutes of screen time we spend 40 minutes outside. And that goes not only for kids, it's for adults too. So if I have 20 minutes of screen time, I am outside walking or doing something outside for 40 minutes to make sure that I stay in balance. And now they'll remind me. So if they've watched 20 minutes, they're like, we're ready to go outside. We need to get our bodies back in balance now.
Yeah, no, I love that. And that is important that we can model it as well. It's not only healthy for us, but then our kids can see us doing it. Because oftentimes they want to do what we're doing and not so much what we're telling them to do. Right. So.
Always they want to do what we're doing, not what we're telling them to do. Yes.
I know, it's so hard. It's like, but mommy has to do all these things. It's so important. But yeah, no, I love that, because I think they do watch parents constantly on their phones or on their computers or whatever. So that's what they think that they're supposed to do. That's what the adults are doing, right? So, yeah.
Yes, exactly. And that's one of the paradigm shifts that I try to lead parents to when they struggle with this, or when they question kind of this balance between, really focusing on emotional intelligence and gratitude and time outside and downtime and being bored and those types of things, is really asking them as adults, are you happy? Like, are you actually happy? Do you feel like you're running in a rat race? Do you feel like you're juggling everything? Do you feel like you have to go from one thing to the next, that there aren't enough hours in the day?
Right.
So let's think back to the way that we were raised and how we have grown up. And yes, we have gotten great educations, and I absolutely do not diminish the importance of getting a really strong education. But what has been less important in our upbringing is really connecting with ourselves and our emotions and our own emotional intelligence. And that is what we are seeing is now leading to the rise in depression and anxiety and all of these issues that we're having now as a society.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's very important. I think it's hard too, because I think our society is so focused on achievements and academics and competition. And that's one thing I keep coming back to. I know as a parent, you feel those like pressures. And I think it's hard sometimes to block that out. You might know inside your heart, like, what's the right choice? But everybody else, there's this constant chatter about, what other people think you're supposed to be doing. So yeah, I don't know. How do you as a parent, it sounds like you've kind of learned how to block that out and do what you know is best for your children and yourself. How do what would you recommend to parents that are struggling with that? Like they feel one thing in their heart, but everybody else is saying something else.
So I found two things. One, honestly, kind of as a fundamental belief, I believe in choice. And so if I choose to buy into the pressures and everything that everybody else has to say to compare what my kid is doing with other kids, that is a choice that I am making to engage in that. I also have a choice to not engage. And so that is the choice that I have made to not engage. It is hard when you live in the world that we do not to listen to the people around you. But the second thing that I found is that there are actually more people like me than I thought. We just aren't talking about it.
Right.
And so that has really helped me find my voice. Is the more I talk about emotional intelligence, the more I talk about gratitude, about downtime, about being bored, about just spending quiet time with your family, the more I hear it resonate with parents, and parents will say, oh, I do that one piece, or I do that other piece. And the more we talk about it out loud, the more we will find people that are actually like us, and then they become our chatter and not the other stuff.
Yeah, no, I love that. And then we can encourage each other as well, that it's okay. Like you don't have to have all these fears about, if your child's not reading at 4 and if your child's not, beginning all the soccer and the baseball at 3 because everybody else on the block is doing it and then they're never going to be able to keep up. I think that's, a lot of the worry is based upon fear, right? Like we're worried that somehow if we don't do all these things when they're little, that then we're going to fail our children in the long run. But I mean, when you come back to what you're talking about, focusing on all those things, those achievements, those outer things are not as important as how they are developing on the inside and who they're meant to be. So yeah, I think we have to get back to that.
And kind of in that lesson is, when we do take them to soccer at a really early age, or do teach them that these external activities will bring us happiness or accomplishment, we kind of set them on the wrong path. Because as adults, when we get a raise, does it make us happy? Well, probably temporarily, but we still complain about our mortgage, and we still complain about all our bills, and we still complain about not being able to go on vacation. When we get a promotion, are we happy? Yes, probably in the short term, and then we complain about all the extra responsibility that we have and all of the less time that we have. So when we switch it and really focus on being happy on the inside, and what is it that, how can we actually truly find purpose and happiness from the inside, then no matter what happens on the outside, we have a choice to always be happy.
I love that. I mean, that's my focus of this series, is learning that we are in charge of our own happiness, and whatever's
Yeah.
going on around us. I mean, that stuff is going to happen. We cannot control everything on the outside, but if we can come back to ourselves, yeah, then we can find happiness in any situation. And if we can teach our children that when they're little, like just how amazing that will be for them as they grow up to be adults, and they can take the punches of the world, right? So, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I'll tell you a quick story. So gratitude is a big part of our family, and I've taught them to be grateful. So Valentine's Day just went by. The triplets went to school. So we do a combination homeschool and in school. They were in school, in public school. The teacher gave out 2 bags, gave out 1 bag for all of them to collect everybody else's Valentines, and then they gave another bag from the teacher to each student. And she gave every student in the classroom 1 except for my daughter, because she ran out. And so when my daughter came home I didn't notice it that day. The next morning, I said, well, where's the 3rd bag that looks like this? Because I always look for 3 of everything. And she said, oh, well, my teacher ran out of bags and she didn't have 1 for me. So the mom in me was going, oh my God, my daughter didn't get a Valentine's Day bag, and she's the only one in the class who didn't get it. She must be devastated. But instead of doing that, I worked my emotional intelligence and my breathing and my smiling, and I asked her, well, how does that make you feel? Would you like me to go get you another bag? Would you like me to ask the teacher to give you one? And my daughter looked at me with the biggest smile and she said, no, Mom, I'm grateful for what I have. And she just skipped away. And she knows how to use her voice. She knows how to make sure she's heard. She knows how to ask for what she wants. But in that moment, she chose just to be grateful for what she has and to not worry about it, to let it go. And so in that, in that really small instance, I'm like, okay, she's going to be okay. She's going to know how to deal with stuff when she gets older.
Yeah, no, I love that. And what do you think are some of the things you've done to create her resiliency and her gratitude in a situation like that?
Well, we do a daily gratitude practice. We started it about 2.5 years ago, and I do it a little differently. We actually do it 5 to 6 times a day to create the habit. We did it about 6 times a day for the first year. We did it in the car every time after an event. So even grocery shopping, even going on a play date or going to school, on the car ride back, I put a little sticky note on my mirror to remind me. And I would start myself and I would say, I am grateful that the cashier gave us stickers. I was grateful that this woman smiled at me and she didn't know who I was. I was grateful that my kids helped me pick up the groceries and take them to the car. And then I would ask the next child, Pranav, what are you grateful for? And then he would give his gratitude and then ask the next child. And so what that taught them was to really look for the things that were good in the experience that they were having, because they know when they get in the car, they're going to have to give their gratitude. And so it had them focus on the positive and not the negative.
I love that. Shifting their focus and their view of the world, because instead of looking for what's the problems or what's bothering them, they're constantly having to focus on the goodness that is around them. And then, because they know that mom's gonna make sure that they were. So I love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And it really keeps them present and in the moment. So they're not thinking about what am I going to do next? They're looking at now and what am I doing now?
Yeah, staying present. Yeah, no, that's beautiful. That's a wonderful practice. And I like that you infuse it so regularly and so often throughout the day. So it's not just something that they do like, a few times out of the year at a holiday, or it just becomes part of their life. So it
really changes their thinking patterns.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think we can definitely train our brains to what we want to focus on. So, and what we want to get out of life. So yeah, no, definitely. So if you were talking to a new parent with, I don't know, maybe say a 2 or a 3-year-old, what are some of the things you would tell that parent to focus on so that they can help their child develop as much emotional intelligence as possible? What are some of the tips?
Yeah, so I really tell parents to learn their child and to really nurture what they will already do. I feel like our kids teach us, but we need to be in a mindset to really pay attention and focus and learn what they're trying to teach us. So, just sitting down and not doing this motion to go and, oh, he's going to write on this, or, oh, that's going to fall down, or, oh, maybe he's going to get hurt, and just really sitting back and watching them develop and figuring out what they're really good at, what do they really love, what do they naturally gravitate towards, and then using their guidance to nurture the things that they already love to do and want to learn.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, no, I think that's amazing because I mean that way, I mean, every child has their own little unique abilities and talents inside. And I know as a parent, it's often hard, like, we get into that comparison trap of, well, this kid's good at that and that kid's good at that and my kid's, not good at those things. But if we take a step back and see what things our child is amazing at and focus on that and help them grow that, I mean, that's going to help them be amazing in life because every child is good at something. I promise you, right? And it doesn't have to be all the same.
Yes. And it doesn't mean that you can't work to improve the things that they're not so great at. But when we teach them, things like it's about the effort and the practice, it's not really about the result, then we ingrain in them lessons that are more life lessons than task oriented lessons. And one of the things that I learned really fast because I had triplets is that kids develop at completely their own pace. Milestones, I didn't care if my kids weren't potty trained because I had 3 kids at the same time. I was like, I don't care when you're potty trained. Like, I just want my life to be as easy as possible. And they honestly kind of did it themselves. When I didn't read and put pressure on them to do it at a certain age, they just kind of did it themselves, figured it out. I helped them, and it was like a much, much smoother process.
I love that. Yeah, and I mean, that's because I've been teaching preschool age for quite a while now. And I know a lot of parents stress on that whole thing. I mean, potty training and all those beginning milestones. It's hard when you see like everybody else, or it seems anyway, like everybody else is hitting those milestones and your kid's not. You start worrying about that. But yeah, just to know that they're going to be okay, as long as we give them our love and help them, and when appropriate, but they're going to be all right. And then I love also then in general that teaches kids that their worth is not based upon their accomplishments, but just on who they are. I think that's the biggest lesson overall.
Yes, that's beautiful. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that, the more parents spend time with their kids, the more intuitively you'll know, is my child not potty trained because they're just not ready, or is there something wrong? Is my child not speaking because they're just not ready, or is there something wrong? Like, I think that the more you know your child, the stronger that instinct is that, like one of my children didn't talk for a while, but I was like, I don't think anything's wrong with them. They're just not ready. So let's just wait and that'll be fine.
Yes. Yeah. No, I've seen that as well. I've seen kids who, when they first come into the program, they do not speak. And by the end, we're having to tell them to be quiet. they get there. Yeah. So I know that's beautiful. And they will all develop at their own pace. Yes. Yeah. That's amazing. And I know our time is almost up here, but I wanted to definitely ask if parents want to learn more about your resources and your programs, what's the best way for them to go about that?
Yes, the best way is to go to raisingei.com, raisingei.com, and there's a free download there that'll get them started. It's the 5 pillars of emotional intelligence and 1 parenting tip to go with each.
Oh, beautiful. I love that. So they can understand more about what it is and how to begin on that journey so they can connect better with their kids and help them to develop to be their own best little people in the end, right?
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today, Supna. I had a great time sharing all these ideas, and hopefully some of the listeners can take some of what we've shared today and try it out in their life, and hopefully they'll be able to see some little improvements here and there. So
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Jennifer.
thank you.